Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we're playing one that's always popular when I play it, and that is Infect. So Infect has gone through a few little changes recently, mainly because Skrelv Defector Mite has come along. So what this does is gives your creatures potentially unblockability, as well as an additional trigger of poison on them, and protects your guys too. So you've kind of got Mother of Runes, something that's synergized with your win con because they're toxic, as well as letting you push through if they've gummed up the ground with a bunch of creatures. Now, Infect struggled a bit during the old initiative winter, but we are through that now, so we're back to this. I played an earlier iteration of this deck just after Skrelv came out, and my main problem that I had with it was the mana base. This mana base is a little bit more streamlined than the last one, and we're not trying to play around Blood Moons here, we're just saying we need our colours. So the one slight concern that could come up though, is we need a forest in play for Invigorate. We need an island in play for Daze. We have a Tundra, which doesn't do both of those things, and we have a Savannah, which doesn't do both those things. So we're going to have to be careful with how we select which lands to go and get. Because we're not heavily into white, we're probably going to be just getting tropical islands for the most part, and then trying to get the white mana off of Noble Hierarchs, but sometimes we will need to fetch one of these. It should be fine. So let's just talk about what this deck does. So we play a creature like Blighted Agent or Glistener Elf that have Infect, which means it deals damage in the form of poison counters. We then play two pump spells. It doesn't matter which two pump spells. Any two different pump spells here is lethal. So these on top of our guy should be good, if I've done the maths right there. So this will make it to a 5/5, this will make it to a 10, this will make it to a 6/5, this will make it, yeah. So two of these work. Obviously you can't have two Berserks, is the only thing, which is why the Berserk is a 2 of. Noble Hierarch also helps us play out more guys, gives us Exalted to get in a little bit more damage, fixes our mana for the fact that we're Bant now, so I like what this brings to the deck. We've got a bunch of interactions, so we've got Force of Wills, Dazes, and a single Spell Pierce. We've got ways of finding the cards we need in the form of Brainstorm and Ponder, and that's pretty much it. We're trying to make our guy and hammer it into people. Now we do have Inkmoth Nexus, so we've effectively got 12 Infect threats. We can use Skrelv to just get little bits of damage there, but this isn't going to get us all the way usually. Sideboard wise, we've got 4 Source of Plowshares because sometimes our deck is going to need to kill stuff, and Source of Plowshares is the most efficient way of doing that, especially since we don't care about them gaining life even though we're sort of an aggro deck. 2 Flusterstorms, more protection against stormy decks, but this is also good against things like control decks where we can play some pump spells and it just makes our Flusterstorm better to fight with later on. Graveyard Hate, we got 2 Surgical Extraction. Seems fine, like we can't really put ley lines in here. I don't think this deck wants anything along the lines of Endurance or something like that, so this makes sense to me. We have a single Seeds of Innocence, which if we can find it should be backbreaking against 8 cast type decks. We have 2 Force of Vigor, which is teaming up with our Seeds of Innocence, so this is a more general catch-all. We can also hit the Blood Moon, which will knock us off because we don't have any basics here, so that's something we're going to have to bring in against those matchups. We have 2 Ajani Sleeper Agents, so this is for the sort of slow grindier matchups. In the past where I've played this, I've been very unimpressed. Now, the format has got more control on it now, so maybe that'll have a time to shine. I don't know, but we'll see. We have 2 Uro. This is one if we need to grind, and the life is going to be useful as well. I believe this is supposed to come in against Delver. It's also useful if our creatures are going to just be getting smushed by a load of stuff quite easily. One thing to note is that all these creatures are now Phyrexian. There was a creature type update quite a while back now, but when they were printed, they weren't Phyrexian, but they are now, which means that a Plague Engineer is pretty disastrous. Hence why we have the Source of Plowshares there. We can counterspell it as well. All right, that's the deck. I think it's been built by people who are actually good at Infect, so not like me. I've barely played this deck, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes now with a slightly more tested mana base now. I think it looks good. So before we jump into a league, like, comment, subscribe, you can do that. There's also a button now to become a member of the channel. You can do that in 3 different tiers. I won't go into it now. You can have a look yourself. If you want to support the channel financially, that's a thing you can do. All right, I think we're ready to rock and roll and play some Legacy with Infect. We're on the play for round 1. We have an interesting hand here. I think we're supposed to keep it. We've got a lot of redundancy of threats, and it just takes a Brainstorm to go and find some other stuff if we need it. I think this is fine. Because we're on the play and we're going to play a Glistener Elf, our opponent's very much going to be on the back foot immediately. So in theory, they're going to, like if they're a combo deck, then they might try and race and go early. We'll see how this pans out for us. Let's play a Glistener Elf. We're very much wearing our deck on our sleeves here. They know what we're doing. Let's hope that they're not good against this sort of thing. We don't just want to fire off an Invigorate for getting some damage in, because if we can combine 2 pump effects together, we can get lethal out of nowhere. A Mishra's Bauble. This could be a number of different decks. 2 Mishra's Baubles. It could still be a number of different decks. A Mox Opal. Okay, so we're looking more towards 8 cast or Saga Storm here. Okay, this is going to be the Epic Gamble, or it's going to be Belcher. We'll see how we go. We have a choice about what we do with this Vindictive Flamestoker. I think we attack with our guy. If we have to use the Invigorate to kill the Flamestoker, that's fine. It's effectively like stopping our opponent getting 4 cards. Let's play this one out. We'll attack. They feel priced into blocking here. So our opponent deck can kill us quicker than we can kill them. Hopefully they'll have a Galvanic Relay turn and pass a turn, and maybe we can get there. They're also worried about us having counter spells, so they might be fishing for a defense grid, but because we represent a threat, our opponent doesn't have the time to sculpt, so they're more likely to go for it, which obviously isn't going to work out very well for us because we don't actually have anything, right? We were quite fortunate that they had to use the Opal for mana to make the Flamestoker here. Otherwise they could have had 2 counters on it already, or 3 counters even. So our opponent's played a Bauble here. They've got a counter on their Flamestoker. This looks like, so far it looks like Tony's newest version of the Epic Gamble, would be my guess. He posted a video on it the other day. It was very good, and it's actually in my queue to play in the very near future. It might even be tomorrow is in my list, I'm not sure. But yeah, deck looks good. I think our opponent is favoured here, but that doesn't necessarily mean we can't get them. If we draw another pump spell, we win this turn. They've gone to second main. They've gone to end step. Okay, so we're getting another turn. A Misty Rainforest. Okay, I think we play these, we do some attacking. He's taking it here, which is fair enough, I think. We'll play out this one. So they're on 3 here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if they all connect. So I think we do need to go and play our Glistener Elf here to make sure that we have lethal damage next turn, so they can block one of the elves. Let's go and get this. Play out our guy. This way we can still represent Force of Will blue card, but our opponent might just have to go now. If we draw a Brainstorm, we've at least got 1 card to put back, and we're only looking for 1 other card here. So let's see how bad it is from our opponent. They've got 8 cards in hand. They might just be stuck on mana if they've got loads of artifacts, but not enough. If they've got multiple Mox Opals and things, or Rite of Flames that they can't start the chain with. But again, we just have to wait and see. A Chrome Mox. Yep, this is definitely the turn they're going. Hopefully they're on a... Well, I don't think they can afford to be on a Galvanic Relay line, because they're probably not going to get a chance to untap here. There's the Flamestoker and the Rite of Flame. Okay, so they played a Chrome Mox without imprinting anything, which suggests to me that they probably have a second Mox Opal. There we go. Look at that perfect read. So a Galvanic Relay is not good enough, and they might have realised that a Galvanic Relay is not good enough. So they might be just going for Echoes. Another Mox Opal. Okay. So they can do all these and then draw 4 cards. An Echo is kind of risky for them in some ways because it gives us a whole new grip of cards when we're a blue deck. Sure. Is this one going to imprint anything? I suspect not, since the previous one didn't. This one did imprint the Relay. So they're on the same logic that I was, that they need to try and win now. So they're not trying to use the Relay there. So they've got an Echo Vions in the graveyard. So they can play this. It will give us the ability to get a whole new grip of cards though. And they do need a bit more of a storm count to kill us, but they could just machine gun down all of our little guys, which will probably force us into... so what we could do here is we could Invigorate in response. That does give them 1 more storm though, but it means that the grape shot on our guy isn't good enough. I think we just take our new grip of cards. So we have a Daze now. Our opponent has 3 mana available, so not amazing. A Lion's Eye Diamond, sure. We're going to have to find the right spot to Daze here, and we might not get an opportunity to find a right spot. So Chrome Mox, is this going to imprint or is this just for Storm? Also, this takes it out of their deck if it's not a thing they want to draw for the next loop of the things. Okay, so the Vindictive Flamestoker underneath that Chrome Mox, so it is tapping for mana. A Grape Shot, only for 11. So they're probably going to arrange these in an interesting way. So we have to see how these end up being assigned. They're all coming to our face. Okay, none of them are killing our guys, which means they might have a second Grape Shot here, which will kill us. There's nothing we can do about it. Okay, Simian Spirit Guide. Okay, so they might be doing something with all of their mana here, which might give us an opportunity to interact with our opponent. They're pitching the Spirit Guide. They're Just drawing some more cards. This is the tense one. They've gone for the all-in play of trying to hit our life total there rather than just sniping out our creatures. Which is certainly interesting. They do have a Lion's Eye Diamond, so they can pay some mana. Alright. So they're going to echo here. We will Daze this now. Peeling this back. And they haven't got any mana floating, so this should work. And then we can kill them with our Invigorate in hand. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we definitely have enough there. They did not bauble us either. I'm just going to show it to them and just go to combat because they don't have anything here. It's lethal. Sure, so we managed to get game 1 then. That was a bit tight, to be honest. A bit tighter than I would have liked. So, what is good here? Flusterstorm has some useful text. This sorts of stuff is pretty useful. Surgicals definitely have text, but how useful is that text? I don't think this is a game where we care about Skrelv. All of our counter magic is good. We need to find 4 more cuts to fit this in. Our creatures aren't really going to be at getting bashed up too much. Is Noble Hierarch too slow? Here's a green card to pitch. Daze on the play is still fine. We just have to keep in all of our counter spells here. I think we're probably trimming a couple of Hierarchs and a couple of Ponders here. Just to fit these in. Because ideally we don't really want to be doing Noble Hierarch turns. We just want to play our Glistener Elf on 1 and bash them on 2. But we'll see how this goes. This requires some mana sources. So we all mulligan this one. This has counter magic, Glistener Elves. Keep this. I guess we get rid of the second Blighted Agent. So we get turn 1 Glistener Elf with Force of Will backup. So we can Force of Will the first thing our opponent does, like the Echo or whatever. But if they have a relay turn on turn 1, I guess we can probably predict if it's going to be a relay turn by how they play their cards out. Okay, so our opponent started on 5, which is great news for us. We do have to counter a defense grid if they play one. So there's a Bauble, there's a Mox Opal, there's a Chrome Mox. They need 1 more mana to do a Galvanic Relay, and it's not even going to be a great relay here. If they play a Lion's Eye Diamond and crack it, then a gamble. Okay, we're probably going for Lion's Eye Diamond here. Echo Vions, sure. We can play the Lion's Eye Diamond, we'll let them crack it, and then we just counter the Echo Vions. Make them use their resources. And I guess we'll get rid of this Blighted Agent. Alright, we survived the first turn. And our opponent doesn't have a lot. They got a redraw here, but it'll take them off of Metalcraft if they do. They'll be down to no mana, so they probably won't do that. So good draw. Let's go and get ourselves a Tropical Island and play our Glistener Elf. So I need 1 more pump spell. So we could try and Brainstorm next turn for an Invigorate or a land Berserk. Okay, they've cracked that. Interesting. So they need to find some Metalcraft here as well. We've certainly taken the wind out of our opponent's sails there. A Blighted Agent. We will see if we can win the game this turn. Just to put things away. We don't really want this Blighted Agent. Do you want this Windswept Heath? I don't think so. Sorry, this Inkmoth Nexus. I don't think we need it. I don't think our opponent's going to be killing our guy anytime soon. So we'll play this. Go to attacks. If our opponent manages to like kill our Glistener Elf with a Grape Shot, then we can keep the card on top of our library. Otherwise, I think we're just going to shuffle. Let's shuffle here. We don't need anything other than blue-green sources here, so it's going to be a Trop. A Force of Vigor. Interesting. Okay, I guess we're just attacking here. We need to keep up our blue card. So we can snipe 2 artifacts in response. I don't really want to just smash this Chrome Mox Opal here. So we'll let them get this one out. Okay, they're doing this just for Metalcraft. A Flamestoker. Opponent's got 2 cards in hand. I think we have to let this go. It's a bit awkward for the purposes of our Glistener Elf here, though. There's an Ancient Tomb. Because they're going to need a lot of spells before this becomes live. A Daze. Okay. Can we just play this one out? I don't really want to attack with our Glistener Elf here, which is annoying. So we've got Force of Vigor and Force of Will if we need them. We also have a Daze, which might mean that we get to keep our Force of Will for later. Sure, they're going to start putting counters on things. A long way to go before this is a viable proposition, though. It's 8 mana? No, 7 mana to pop. So you've got 3, 4 mana at the moment for it, effectively. Another pump spell would be lovely. Another Daze. Okay. So you've got Hardcast Daze, Force of Will. So they know we've got the Daze now. They don't know quite how much permission we've got. Sure, I can keep making these baubles. Just need another pump spell. They're playing with the Daze they know we have. A Grape Shot, targeting this one. Interesting. Let's see where they put their other Grape Shot copy. We'll counter the one that's targeting our Blighted Agent. We're going to lose our Glistener Elf, but that's fine. Wasn't doing a great deal. So we can take them off of coloured mana next turn if we want to. Kind of hoping to draw a blue card or a pump spell, which is a lot of the cards in our deck is covered by blue card or pump spell. Sure, it's got attacking because it can't block our Blighted Agent. And Inkmoth Nexus. We can play out the Nexus here. This gives us the kill next turn, I believe. So this puts them up to 4. Then we got another 4 here and another 2 from these two. So we have them dead next turn. We just need to survive the turn. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand and they've got a Bauble trigger. You've seen the Invigorate. So the writing is on the wall. They're dead next turn. I don't want to have to use this Force of Vigor. So last turn what I could have done is Force of Will that 1 Grape Shot and then kept back a Daze. That's probably the best if I'm drawing into blank there. Okay, so this can draw some cards. Another Mox Opal. Sure. So they're going to be getting 4 new cards this turn. If they missequence with things like Lines Like Diamond, I can Force of Vigor if I think that's where we need to be. So this is going to be the Flamestoker activation. 4 cards in hand. Are they enough for your opponent? A Lotus Petal. Sure. So 3 cards they need to have business within. City of Traitors. Rite of Flame. One more thing. A Gamble. This is going to get discarded straight away. And then it's going to go into their graveyard. And then they're going to cast Echo of Eons. Interesting. So they can cast the Echo here. There's no point in trying to hit mana because it's not going to do anything here. So I think we have a choice of whether or not we invigorate our guy, but I don't think we do. Let me just let this go through. Okay. So we've got 2 Dazes. We have a Brainstorm if we want to find some more action. There's a Chromox. We could definitely be losing this one, but we'll see. A Bauble. So that's 4 cards left in our opponent's hand they've got to make something out of. Mox. Our Dazes aren't looking very good in the face of this City of Traitors. The Galvanic Relay. A Galvanic Relay. Okay. I'll look at their example. Echo. Mox. Spirit Guide. Gamble. Another Echo. Mox Opal. A Relay. Chrome Mox. Petal. Empty the Warrens. And a Bergie. Okay. Are they done with the turn though? Because they know they've wheeled us, so we might not have the thing that kills them this turn. They know we had it last turn. They might not know this time. A Grape Shot. Interesting to work out where these are going to be aimed. So we're going to let them put all these on the stack, and then we're going to cast a Brainstorm. 1, 2. So we could save our guy, but I think we're just better off Brainstorming here. Seeing where we end up. Oh dear, this is very bad. Yuck. So I guess we're bottoming this, and then put that on top. We can't save our guy. And take a bunch of damage here. Our opponent's got quite a lot of stuff going on here. They can cast Horn, I believe, on the next turn. Or they can frontside an Echo. It is bad for us. And we know we're not drawing anything good, which is also a problem. We definitely don't want the next card down. So we're shuffling here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these Dazes are basically worthless, I would say. So I think, no, we want to cast this Windswept Heath. We want to crack this Windswept Heath first, I think. Just to make sure that we've got the most amount of fresh cards here. So if we cast a Ponder, feels like we're dead. Ponder Brainstorm. This Brainstorm might be good. This Force of Will might be good enough, actually. So Ponder, and the Brainstorm, and the Force of Will. And we can either get 1 damage in with this now, or we can just play. We can hold up triple Daze this turn. I can just do another Galvanic Relay though. Are we supposed to play this Hierarch out? Or are we supposed to hold up triple Daze? This is 1 poison, 2 poison, 3 poison. So we're still a long way off from killing our opponent. We need two turns. I think we're supposed to hold up triple Daze here. Or it's only double Daze actually, isn't it? Maybe we're supposed to get him for 1 poison there. I don't like playing the Hierarch, but we don't really want to bounce all of our lands because then we can't do anything the following turn. So now we've got a Brainstorm on top of our library. Yeah, I think we should have cracked him for 1 poison there. Alright, so we kind of know most of the resources our opponent's working with this turn. Looks like we're going for a frontside Echo here. So there is an Echo. I'm supposed to counterspell this. Like, we can use all our counterspells, and if we do get an Echo, we might just draw a whole new load of counterspells. Because they can cast this Gamble for a Lion's Eye Diamond. They can pay around double Daze right now though, which is awkward for us. Chromox, sure. Vindictive Flamestoker underneath it. So these Days is not looking so hot right now. Well, they're going for something big. I'm just going to go for a relay here. They're going for the Echo Vions. They have a Lotus Petal and a Gamble here. I think we cast this now. Make them pay 1. And then we cast again. Now they have no mana floating and no way to pay. So this should go away. Okay. We've achieved something. So there's a Lotus Petal that they should have played beforehand. Surprised they didn't, to be honest. So they can cast a Gamble here. But it depends what that last card in their hand is. If that last card in their hand isn't a either an Echo or a Lion's Eye Diamond, then they have no shot here, I don't think. And then all these cards go away. Right, so you've got the red. So they could just be casting a Gamble here just to put an Echo into their graveyard for next turn, which makes sense. Vindictive Flamestoker. Okay, so they have a Lion's Eye Diamond here. That doesn't cast anything. Oh, they can cast a Galvanic Relay here actually for loads, for a whole bunch with a LED. Yeah, so that line went quite well for them, thinking about it. They're on a 50-50 to discard the LED. Alright, we're going to get a massive Galvanic Relay here. Let's see how bad it is. Empty the Warrens. Shadowskull Smashing. Urza's Bauble. Vindictive Flamestoker. Bergie. Shadowskull Smashing. Volcanic Island. Mishra's Bauble. Mishra's Bauble. Lion's Eye Diamond. Empty the Warrens. Riot Flame. Okay, so they can not really do an awful lot next turn. They can make a bunch of goblins. So we have a Brainstorm. So I think we are just leading off on the Brainstorm here. We know one of the cards underneath it, but we need to find something. Seeds of Innocence. I wouldn't mind resolving that one, but we're not going to this turn, are we? Don't think we need Glistener Elf. I don't think we need another Inkmoth Nexus either. So we play this out. I think part of the problem we have right now is that we just don't have the pump spells to finish them off. So we can peck for 1 here, but they can make lethal goblins next turn. So I think we just have to, as horrible as it is, we just have to ponder here. Instead of making any order. Shuffle. Okay. This Inkmoth Nexus not tapping for that kind of mana is a bit awkward. We're going to Invigorate away. So that gives us a line that we can actually win if they put lethal goblins into play. Now, they probably don't need to do that. They can just play their Bergie, draw some cards. But they've only got 1 card in hand to start that chain. And none of those Echo Vions are things they can cast this turn. So I think we might just be looking at make lethal goblins. I guess they can make Bergie. They can make Horn and lethal goblins here. And then see if they get anything off the 2 cards they get from discarding the 1 card in the hand. Because they're just looking for the Grape Shot. Now, one of them is in the graveyard already. Doesn't look like they're playing the Burning Wish build, which means that they only have 1. That means they've got 2 Grape Shots in total. Alright, so we've got these goblins. They got loads of goblins. We are dead to goblin. Understood, opponent. 2. Sure, more goblins. They're not going down the Bergie line, I see. Understood. An Invigorate off the top wins us the game. A Brainstorm potentially wins us the game. A Scale Up wins us the game. Another Berserk does not win us the game. Opponent has many, many goblins. We did win game 1 and they've only got 4 minutes left on the clock, so we might win by timeout here. Not really how I envisioned beating the Epic Gamble. Invigorate. Okay. Let's animate this guy. We're just going to do our thing now. Like, if this doesn't work, we're dead anyway, so. Alright, we got the concession there. That was a very weird and long match against the Epic Gamble. I would have expected this to go very quickly one way or the other, but we got the 2-0, so I'll take it. Let's go to round 2. We're on the play for round 2. We don't have an Infect creature. We do have a Brainstorm, which kind of covers a multitude of sins. So I think we'll keep this one and rely on our Brainstorm to dig us out of there a little bit. I think the Noble Hierarch is going to be a better turn 1 play than the Skrelv here, because the Noble Hierarch will give us more mana to deploy threats next turn. So we could find a Blighted Agent and deploy it, for example. Green for our Hierarch. I'm not a big lover of this hand. We are asking our Brainstorm to do a lot of work for us. But we're ahead of mana. We've got something on board at least. A Green Sun Zenith. Sure, so this is going to be for a Dryad Arbor. So our opponents could be Elves, or they could be some sort of like Mavericky, Green Sun Zenith type, one of those sorts of decks. I think we lead out on Brainstorm. What did we find here? We found some stuff we don't want. So we'll get rid of 2 lands here. I think we'll play this out We'll crack this, and we're going to try a Ponder out. I think we'll get a Tropical Island again because we just used the Noble Hierarch for mana here. Let's try a Ponder. We found a Blighted Agent, which is good. We don't want all of these. The Savannah definitely goes on the bottom, then it's probably the Hierarch, then it's the Agent. Say no to this. So we've drawn our Agent here, and I think we'll cast this off of a white source here and get a Skrelv in play. That probably lets our opponent know what we're doing. We have Daze this turn. We have Force of Will. We could have both, but it will cost us our Blighted Agent, so I'd rather not do that. An Elvish Visionary. So this kind of tells us where our opponent is at right now. I want to counter this. They haven't played a land yet. That could be because they're saving for a big explosive cradle play. But I think if we're getting the opportunity to counter there, that's good. Right, that worked out quite well for us. This guy's got Toxic and probably just going to be attacking on his own here. Playing out this Blighted Agent is problematic for us because it means we don't have Force of Will here. We definitely want to shuffle anyway. I'm just working out if we actually want to... Do we even want to play this Blighted Agent? This guy's going to be coming for 3. So that's a 7-turn clock. This guy is going to be coming in a much quicker clock. So I do think we have to play it. Okay, I think we go to attacks here. We're looking for the toxic damage rather than the actual damage here. I'm just not going to get blocks. It's 2-2. We're going to get 1 toxic on our opponent. And then I think we are deploying our stuff here. Now, they know we have Tropical Island in hand. Do we keep the Noble Hierarch back in our hand to represent Force of Will blue card? Or do we play it this turn so that our next turn is better? I think we just have to say if our opponent's got it, they've got it, right? I don't think they're going to not play into what we're doing. No, they might not have kept track of the Tropical Island, but they should have done. Okay, yeah, so they don't have to play around Force of Will anyway. Good choice to deploy the Hierarch. What is this? A Green Sun Zenith for 1. It can't be countered, sure. So we can do 4 poison next turn because we can use our Skrelv to pump our Blighted Agent. I say pump, to give it toxic. So we get 1 toxic damage and then 3 infect. Not quite enough, but if we draw a scale up, we win the game. A Ponder. Alright, let's cast a Ponder. Any order. Shuffle. Can't catch a break today. Are we playing out this Misty Rainforest for the purposes of getting a white source? We take 2 less damage. I don't think that's going to be the problem. We can just use the guy here. They know we have a trop. I guess we are playing out the Misty Rainforest. We'll leave it uncracked, I think. So we're going to get 4 infect across here. This means that next turn we can get another 4 and we're 1 shy. So Noble Hierarch does it for us. Obviously any pump spell does it for us. I suspect we die this turn. That's what I think is going to happen. A Nettle Sentinel. So our opponent can make 3 mana, immediately untap 1 of their mana guys. Cradle, okay. They can cast a Crater Hoof here. They can Green Sun Zenith for Crater Hoof and then have 3 attackers. That should be enough. Okay, so they don't have the payoff just yet. So they're digging for it with drawing cards. And because this one isn't an elf, it kind of requires them to then find another elf to get the mana. So 8 mana here. Okay, they're just playing 1 more creature. They did have it. So how big are these? These are going to be 12. So that's 28. Yeah, we're dead here. And they're going to make this guy untap as well. Okay, elves. How do we beat elves? Interesting. I guess we want some plows. They're probably going to be quite good. I don't think this is much of a Skrelv matchup either. Spell Pierce feels less useful than the plow. That's a relatively clean 4 for 4 there. So I guess that means it's probably planned out by the person who made this deck. So we'll roll with it like this. Now, if we can just get a really sweet turn 2. This is close, but I think we can do better. We now know that we have to go very fast to win this game. This doesn't have any mana sources. This doesn't have any mana sources. This also doesn't have any mana sources. We still don't have any mana sources. I guess we keep this. Yikes. So we're losing this. I guess we need to keep the Brainstorm. The opponent was just asking what we were trying to mull to in case we had some cool tech, whatever. But we didn't. We just hit loads and loads of no mana hands. Like I don't think the first hand was fast enough. But like if we hit runner, we can win the game still. Like if we go next turn, we draw a Glistener Elf maybe. The turn after we could draw Invigorate and a Berserk. That kind of gets us most of the way there. Like, we probably have lost this game, but... A Blighted Agent. Are we going to brainstorm to try and make a land drop for this guy? I think we are. Okay, okay. Put this back on top. And the Ponder. Okay, a land. So I think I would like that Ponder. So we'll draw the Ponder, cast a Blighted Agent. Next turn we'll cast Ponder and hope to draw the things we need. It's tough. Allosaurus Shepherd from our opponent. And a Nestle Sentinel. Sure. So they could kill us next turn quite feasibly, I think. This gets us... Doesn't really matter if it's a Tundra or a... I guess we'd probably rather have another green source, maybe? The Savannah, so that we're more likely to be able to cast. I guess I'm just trying to see if... Is it worth trying to play into drawing a source to Plowshares? Is what I'm trying to work out here. We'll get Savannah. So if we draw Berserker Invigorate next turn and we ponder into the other one of those two cards, we can win the game. Now, it means our opponent has to not kill us this turn, which isn't always the most likely thing in the world. So this looks like a Green Suns for 1. Yeah. So this is going to be a Heritage Druid, so our opponent's going to tap 3 guys, make some other stuff, maybe play a Cradle to follow up with. We're going to be a little bit in trouble here. I wasn't expecting to win on a Mull to 2. I managed to win on a Mull to 1 with Death and Taxes when I played it the other day, so who knows. Visionary guy here. Okay. So they're netting mana when they play 1-drop elves at this point. That's not an elf though. They can untap the Elvish Visionary and replay it though. I guess we're in just F6 town here. Let's just let them go for it. So untapped, bouncing the Elvish Visionary. Tap for some mana, play the Elvish Visionary. Oh, the elf deck's so good. Alright, yep, so they got this. They're going to draw a card. They can tap 3 elves, play another spell, keep it going. They haven't played their land drop yet. So they're trying to draw into the Cradle here, which just gives them a huge amount of mana. Right, tap in for 3. Green Sun's Zenith for 1. Is this another Wild Symbiote to bounce the Elvish Visionary again? No, Quirion Ranger. Okay. It's just a 1-mana elf to keep the party going, I suppose. They're probably just trying to make enough guys so that when they play their Crate Hoof, it's lethal. Sure. Is that big enough to kill us? Probably, because they got the untap from the Quirion Ranger, and they're like got 10 guys. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, we just mulligan to oblivion there. We had a lot of draws that could have won us the game, but we just couldn't find any pump spells in the first game. So we are 1-1. Let's go to round 3. We're on the play again. Now this is the sort of hand I'm looking at. This is a turn 2 kill. We'll keep this one. Oh, yes, turn 2 kill. Our opponent's mulligan to 6 cards. 5 cards. Okay, this is making me a bit apprehensive about not having a counter spell in my opening hand. Am I supposed to take a turn off to ponder to try and find an answer to something? Or am I just supposed to say I can kill you next turn? I think we're just supposed to do that. It's tough. I think it's about a 50-50 call as to whether we find it. But we could dig and not find anything. A forest. A Mox Diamond. Okay. A Bajuka Bog. A crop rotation. Is this going to be Tabernacle? We beat Tabernacle here. Okay. Well, actually, we don't beat Tabernacle straight up, do we? We need to find a green source here. It's not a green source. Okay, so we'll play this out. We will cast a Ponder. None of these are green source. We don't need a green source now, though, because we have both of these. So I think we'll put this on bottom, then this, and this. And not shuffle the library. And we'll go to attacks. We got our opponent dead next turn. We can scale up, then invigorate. Go over the Burn Willows. A crop rotation. Not liking where this is going. This is going to be a Maze of Ith. A Maze of Ith. Okay. So we'll pay for our guy. Draw this Ponder we know about. We'll try a Brainstorm first. I don't think we need this Noble Hierarch right now. I think we will need 2 scale-ups though. So we're going to put this Ponder back. The reason I say that is we're probably going to play 2 guys, scale them both up. Whichever one doesn't get mazed gets invigorated. That's kind of what we're building up to here. But every turn that goes by, we're kind of getting further and further underneath what our opponent's just slowly grinding their way ahead of us. Right, let's Ponder first. Brainstorm, a Force of Will, I don't hate that. Glistener Elf is fine here as well. That's a cheaper one to cast. Okay, we're going to put the Force of Will in our hands. It's probably Brainstorm on the bottom, then the Glistener Elf, then the Force of Will. So we're close. There's no point attacking into the Maze of Ith. They're definitely going to do it. Let's not waste both of our time. We've got a Force of Will for anything scary, provided it's a spell. Let's pay for this guy. So would we rather have a Blighted Agent or a Glistener Elf? I think we'd rather have the Glistener Elf because the Blighted Agent is a blue card. Look at me working it out. No point attacking, our opponent knows what's going on here. So we do get chip damage in here if we attack with both of them. They can't copy the Maze of Ith with Thespin Stage yet. Exploration. Our opponent doesn't have any mana, anything really going on in their hand. So we don't really care about this. Tap white and tap this. And pay for both of these. Pay to prevent this. The Brainstorm that we knew was coming. On Brainstorm, we're looking for some mana here. That'll do. That's mana, isn't it? So put this on top, and then it'll put the Ponder on top, I guess. And we'll play out this land. We'll go to attacks. So we get 1 poison across this turn. I took it base. Interesting. Maybe I should have been attacking. Maybe they just weren't expecting us to attack because we haven't been attacking before, but we have 2 creatures now. A Punishing Fire on our Glistener Elf. I'm going to say no to this. Pay for both of these. Yes. Yes. Scale up, targeting this guy. Scale up, targeting this guy. Go to attacks. Which one's getting Maze of Ith? And there's the rest of the damage. Sure, we got the first one. Lands, you say. So Surgical Extraction is going to be good against them. The Ajani might be quite good at grinding away if they're just going to be trying to mess with all of our stuff. We're pretty vulnerable to Wastelands though, and this is a 3-drop, so I'm a little bit skeptical. Skrelv isn't going to be able to defend against any of their things, right? I can choose a colour, so I can defend them from non-land stuff. But it's hexproof, so they might have sweepers now, so that's just not going to do anything. Seeds of Innocence here is potentially useful. I think the Daze on the play is probably not going to be great for us. Does this hit enchantments or is it just artifacts? It's just artifacts. I think we'll take 2 Force of Vigor in here. And then that leaves us with 1 more slot if we want it. We could take the Flusterstorm just to slow our opponent's roll a little bit. Or we could just have 1 Skrelv to like nick away as a little guy. I don't hate that. Sure. We'll try this. Yeah, seems fine. We'll keep these. We have Noble Hierarch, which is good against the fact that we're really cold to Wasteland. I think we play the Noble Hierarch off of the Savannah though. Alright, they're already starting in with the Life in the Lame. Not ideal for us. Play this. Play out our... I think it is the Noble Hierarch that's got to come out here. Tabernacle, pretty good. An unfortunate hit there for us. We'll pay. So now we're in a bit of a weird spot, aren't we? Can't really play out our other guys. I think our plan is going to be try and play Ajani. Kind of tempted to play out a Hierarch here. Although we do have the Spell Pierce, so maybe we can leverage the Spell Pierce to stop them from doing stuff for a turn. We just want to get the Ajani, and then we're just going to plus it and try and get the emblem. If we can get the emblem on the Ajani, then I think we can win the game. A Wasteland. That's pretty bad news for us. We will float blue. We've still got blue off of the Hierarch if we need it. I think we have to counterspell this now. It's not a great look, but we could draw Surgical Extraction here. Pay for this guy. Draw a card. A Force of Vigor. We can get rid of our opponent's only green source. And maybe we can start kicking the gas then. Let's crack this for a Tropical Island. Let's play out another Noble Hierarch. Or are we pitching this Noble Hierarch? Maybe we're pitching this Hierarch, so we're playing this Glistener Elf this turn. And our opponent's upkeep will pitch this Hierarch to the Force of Vigor to take out their Mox Diamond. As it's their only green source right now. Actually, no, they've got a Tiger in hand, haven't they? Because that's what they got back with an early Life from the Loam, so that doesn't work very well for us, does it? They're not a million miles away from Dark Depths combo either. I think this is going to be a very tough one to win. They can just Wasteland us out of the game. Guess we could have hit this so that they'd have to play their green source instead of the Wasteland. Surprised they didn't Wasteland us straight away. And Inkmoth Nexus. This is a creature that kind of gets around some of the stuff that our opponent's doing. Play this one out. It's going to attack for 2. I guess we can make it attack for 1 more if we deploy this. Not great deploying this into the face of Wasteland Tabernacle. But what else are we realistically trying to do in this matchup? We can get in for 3 poison here. Next turn we can get in for 6. So it's still not quite there. Goodbye. So we could Force of Vigor here to destroy their Mox Diamond. I don't think that's how we... I don't think that's a realistic way of us winning this game. I think we just need to... I don't know, how are we going to beat this? Okay, so now we have 2 things worth Force of Vigoring here. I don't hate that. They've named the wrong Nexus there. They've named Inkmoth Nexus. Interesting. So we're tapping all of these things and we're paying for our guys. A crop rotation. Okay, what is this going to be for? Maze of Ith? Yeah, sure. The next turn they're going to wasteland us. We do take both of these out and leave them without any mana sources next turn, which I don't hate as a thing that we get to do. Don't think this third Noble Hierarch is going to work very well for us. So let's pitch this. So our opponent won't be able to cast a Life from Loam this turn. They're not going to have any coloured mana right now. Sure, so they're just cycling that. Alright. They don't really have a way to interact with their Maze of Ith. 2 Maze of Ith. Is this game over? If we can draw enough lands... okay, so we will do this. We'll pay for our Noble Hierarch. We will not pay for our Glistener Elf. We're trying to win with Ajani, I think, now. Another Noble Hierarch isn't really the one, is it? It's just going to be tapping itself down. Okay. If we can just hit some more lands, play out this Ajani, maybe we can get there, because all we have to do is play spells. Now, we might not even be able to play spells if our opponent's going to wasteland us to oblivion. So this was the green source that we knew our opponent had from a while back. Page prevent. And then once our opponent gets the wasteland back and starts firing at us again, then we haven't really got a lot. So we pay for both of these next turn, and then we draw a land and play the Ajani. And then if we can plus it enough times, we just need to play spells. Easier said than done against a deck that's going to wasteland us into the dirt, but there we go. So they get multiple wastelands back off their first Life from the Loam here. They will need another mana source before they get to do that. There's a mana source. There's another mana source. Interesting to me that they didn't just... that's pretty annoying. So we need 2 more lands. Pay. And pay. And draw. Invigorate. What does that do here? Very little. We can play another Noble Hierarch. What does that achieve? Nothing. But we might as well. So our opponent starts wastelanding us. I think we are done now. I don't think we get out of this one. I think we had a spot where if we'd have drawn lands, we'd have been alright. So, do you want to do anything differently on the play? Dazes get more interesting on the play, but they can just usually play around it, I would say. So I don't think that's where I want to be. I think we just submit like this. No mana sources, so we'll mulligan. That's pretty good. We'll keep this. How many Hierarchs do we need? Let's just get rid of one of them, I think. Let's play this out. Get ourselves a tropical island. Deploy the guy. Maybe we can kill them on turn 2. If we can draw an Invigorate, we win the game. I think we probably cast Brainstorm. Okay, and there's a Saga. That can make some chump blockers soon. And they got a Mox Diamond as well. They always got Mox Diamond. Alright, we're getting Punishing Fired. Sphere of Resistance. Okay, interesting. Skrelv Defector Mite. So our Brainstorm isn't looking amazing right now. But our Noble Hierarch looks pretty good to me. So we'll go green and 1. Play this. Go to attacks. Yep, get our Exalted going. So we've got 2 on there. We can activate our Inkmoth if we need to. We are 1 away. Despin Stage. So our Glistener Elf probably not attacking in the near future. Because it's going to make guys. Oh no, maybe not. Crop rotation. Okay. Is this going to be a Tabernacle again? Sure. Yeah, this version of Infect we're playing feels incredibly bad against lands, I would say. Previous builds used to have like a wasteland that you could tutor for and stuff like that. We don't have any of that going on here. So we will keep our guys alive. We're just in the very similar bind that we were in before. And Invigorate. Close. We attack here. Get our Exalted. We'll get ourselves 6 Infect here. This means our Glistener Elf is lethal, as is our Inkmoth Nexus. So depending on what our opponent plays it, they're probably going to get a Pith and Needle naming Inkmoth Nexus. That'll be my guess. Another crop rotation, very bad for us. We got an Expedition map. Interesting. It's going to be Maze of Ith. It's probably going to be Maze of Ith. Rishadan Port. Interesting. They're tapping the port. Okay, so this is going to be Maze of Ith, presumably. Yes. Okay. So we can keep both of our guys alive and try and draw a land. We did not draw the land. That's a real tilter, isn't it? Sure, we'll go to attacks. Make them maze us. It's annoying. I'm so close to winning this one. I don't like the way our opponents played this one too much, to be honest. They're going to win, I think, just because this matchup is incredibly favoured for them. Okay, this is pretty big news. No? Okay. So we'll pay for both of them again. We'll draw a land. We did not draw a land. We drew a card we can cast, though. I think we want to leave the Force of Vigor in place so our opponent's calculations aren't based around it. Okay. What have they got here? A wasteland. Okay. Need some more lands. Tropical Island. We'll cast this Brainstorm now. Okay, another land. This is good. And a Glistener Elf. I don't think we want this Skrelv. The Skrelv has been pretty bad this whole league, to be honest. On top of that, we can't play another land yet. No point attacking. Our clock is lower than our opponent's, so... Okay. If they start Life of the Lowman, then I think we're in trouble. Shadow Spear. Okay. It's not so exciting. Tropical Island here. Cast a Glistener Elf. We now have 2 threats. So we have a 2-turn clock, provided nothing changes. We do have a Spell Piercing, which should catch whatever our opponent does. As a Saga isn't a thing that we can catch, unfortunately. That's what they drew this turn, because they definitely would have played over the... They would definitely would have played last time if they had it. So, Life from the Loam. I think we say no to this one. Oh, they scooped. Interesting. They weren't actually dead here. They have 2 turns. Next turn they go and get the Wasteland. Huh. Yeah, we're drawing pretty cold as well. I think they probably would still win that one, right? So next turn they can make a Saga token. I guess they needed the mana here, didn't they? So next turn they would cast Life from Loam off of these 2 to get back Wasteland as a Saga. I guess they are dead to that, actually, now I think about it. They'd have to take a regular draw. Like Punishing Fires does it for them. Another Maze of Ith does it for them. I don't know. I think that's a premature concession. But I'll take it. We're 2-1. Let's go to round 4. So this hand is a weird one. We don't have an Infect creature. But we have a Lethal Pump. So I think we keep this. And we try and find one. So probably play Hierarch on 1. And then Brainstorm, Fetch Land on 2. Maybe this will be the game where Skrelv is good. So far, it's not looked very good to me. A basic mountain on turn 1. Quite an interesting one. I think... So we have a choice here. If we're expecting like a Blood Moony deck, then we should be playing this Hierarch out. Because we can't cast any spells without it in play. So I do think we just play the Hierarch out here. If they're a Blood Moon deck, we'll lose to it. Because that's the sort of deck that will play a basic mountain on 1. Because they have a Lightning Bolt. Okay, so these decks don't tend not to play... So the Blood Moon decks don't really play Lightning Bolt. Because they have Chalice. So I don't think that's what we're on here. There's a Saga. Okay, so we're looking at Painter deck here. Alright. So we should be able to kill them before this goes off. And we're going to crack this right now. So that we can Brainstorm in response to something. I'm going to cast this. I know that sounds a bit clunky, but... I don't want to get caught cracking a fetch land and then just getting blown out. You got another Lightning Bolt here? It's another Lightning Bolt. So rude. Alright. Now we'll Brainstorm. Wowzers, trousers. We'll put these 2 on top of our library. And then we will give our opponent some life and keep our guy alive. We have lethal next turn. We also have Force of Will. Now, the one issue we have is they can make a Saga token to block. So this would be where actually Skrelv doesn't do anything in Saga tokens, does it? Because they're colourless. So that wouldn't help us out either. Oh, are they just making a token here? No. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I think we counterspell this and we just have the kill lined up nicely. Make it big. Make it bigger. Sure. So we got that game there. So our opponent is on Painter's Servant, I would identify that as. So Seeds of Innocence, Force of Vigor. These are nice. I think we want Plows here. I don't think we actually want Force of Will. I know they're a combo deck, but they are a deck that's just rammed full of Pyroblast, and I don't really want to be 2-for-1ing ourselves against the 9 Pyroblast deck. So we take those out. That's not bad. We can add in a Surge of Extraction. Spell Pierce, I think maybe Surge of Extraction is better because it just messes with all their welders. So I think this is alright. We'll try like this. Skrelv might be okay here. I don't know. I don't really like this one. It's just all lands, isn't it? I think we should mulligan. No lands at all. Okay. You didn't shuffle up very well. This is a good keep. So, 2 of these cards have got to go. We need Force of Vigor, Glistener Elf, I think, here. I think we need a Noble Hierarch, which means we're getting rid of Brainstorm. That can't be right. I'm thinking Brainstorm, Invigorate, is it Glistener Elf? Brainstorm Hierarch, that feels a bit sketchy. Yeah, I guess we're on the draw. That gives us 2 draw steps to find a blue card or a cantrip or a... Okay, well, yeah, so we can get a cantrip or we can get another pump spell. Okay, exactly as we drew up. We've got the land, Tropical Islands, give them the fear. So we've got Force of Vigor here. We just need another pump spell. A Berserk would be quite good because that gives you the trample as well. Another Force of Vigor. Interesting. Are they going to trade their welder for our little guy? Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. Alright. We get the trade. That's fine. Now, we get punished a little bit here if they have a removal spell. They did not. Okay, so we have a Force of Vigor that can hit this saga. We're kind of waiting to see if we can get some extra value out of it. Like something like land into Favor the Mirror Breaker gives us a very nice Force of Vigor here. Nothing. Interesting. Oh, cheeky second main phase Goblin Engineer. Okay. So this is probably going to put a Painted Servant into the graveyard because they got the Grindstone off the saga next turn. Another Glistener Elf. If we attack with our Glistener Elf and it trades with this guy, it's going to cost us 2 cards to kill this. Is that worth doing in this situation? I think so. I'm just not very happy about how this game is going right now. Feels like they've got a Lightning Bolt as well, which is going to be super bad for us. I think we just let this go, put the counter on it, and the next one's okay. Doesn't feel great. We're playing around the Lightning Bolt though. Our opponent's telegraphed a little bit there. They might just be trying to give us the fear. Alright, opponent. If they go for it, we can try and Force of Vigor and blow them out a little bit. So this is going to... They'll tap 3 mana, get a Grindstone, activate Grindstone, engineer it into Welder, into Painter, and then we will Force of Vigor it. This requires them to have a mana source in their hand. Now, if they've got an Ancient Tomb or something, they might be able to hold up a Pyroblast and we lose, but such is life. This also gives us a potential window where our opponent will be tapped out. Soul Guide Lantern. That's not the one I was expecting to see there. Interesting. Okay. Taking a different approach. That does intrigue me. Magus of the Moon. How do we go about beating Magus of the Moon? I don't think we do. I don't want them to know how bad Magus of the Moon is for us. So I'm going to play for a few more turns here. And try and get a bit of indication about our opponent's sideboard perhaps as well. Yeah, this Magus is super bad news for us. Oh, 1 turn too late. We're eventually going to lose what our opponent's doing. We can't cast any of the spells in our deck. And they also showed them that we don't have a basic land in our deck. So, extra awkward. So I don't mind bringing in Dazes on the play, potentially. But again, they are a deck with like... Are these going to be better than Skrelv? Skrelv just seems really weak. I don't know. No, we'll submit like this. I think... It's a lot of lands. It's a lot of lands. That's mulligan. But that just needs to find a guy. Island Ponder. I guess we keep this one. Not very happy about it. So we're incentivized to lead out on the Windswept Heath here. Because that way, if we want to cast a 2-drop and keep all the cards on top with Ponder, we have the Tropical Island to follow up with. So, let's go and get a Trop. So Glistener Elf is very much one of the things we wanted, as is this Surgical Extraction. Glistener Elf is probably the least exciting one of these things. So, do we want... Actually, so Glistener Elf doesn't die to Pyroblast. That's probably a mistake, isn't it? So we'll have the Blighted Agent on top, and then the Surgical Extraction on top of that. And we'll draw this. So next time we can play the Blighted Agent and leave the Glistener Elf on top. Okay, so our guy dies because we have lethal with Invigorate Berserk. Obviously, we just die immediately to Magus of the Moon. Our deck just can't beat that. Let's hope they don't turn 1 Magus on us. Doesn't look like a turn 1 Magus. That's good. So we'll draw this one. We'll play this one potentially into a Pyroblast. Not a big fan of this, but we're going to have to work through it at some point. Yeah, so that's why we did the thing we did with our fetch lands, so we could leave that Glistener Elf on top. How dead are we this turn? We're stone cold dead to Magus of the Moon here. That wasn't Magus of the Moon, that's good. Maybe we're supposed to keep in our Force of Wills just for the Magus, and I've boarded wrong. That certainly sounds like something that might have happened there. Alright, so we'll play Glistener Elf, play Windswept Heath. We'll pass the turn. So we make our guy a 10 power guy, but they have 2 toughness to block with. So that's not going to be enough. A basic forest in our deck would go a long way to alleviating these problems. Okay. They discarded 2 cards with their Fable, which means that they are digging for something. This means they're probably not playing Mages of the Moon this turn, because it would immediately erode their Urza Saga. They've got a lot of mana to work with here. Wowzers. Okay. This is an interesting play. This suggests that our opponent definitely has something. Is it going to be a Fury? No. Okay. A Skrelv Defector Mite. I want to see what our opponent's got in their hand. Let's take this red elemental blast out. And then we'll see what we're playing around. I don't like this play, but I think it's... I'm casting a really bad peek here. If I know what our opponent's play is, then I might be able to play around it. This also gives our opponent the impression we have a counterspell. Which we don't. Oh, they're just dead. Huh. Why didn't they cast a Fury last turn? What am I missing here? They're just stone cold dead, right? So that's what's in their hand. I'm not missing anything, am I? This doesn't have flash. So this attacks. Let me pump it. Let me pump it again. 10 damage. Oh, for a minute I thought I missed something when they were tapping mana there. Did they not realise Fury doesn't have flash? I think if you would make that attack, you cast a Fury. Maybe they just... The way they tap mana there makes me think that they thought they had... that Fury might have had flash, perhaps. But if they cast a Fury, then we have to Invigorate to save our Glistener Elf. And then we play the Skrelv. And then we get in for 2. And then we're probably... maybe we can get there still with that. But it's not going to look great for us. Yeah, we managed to win the match. So we got one more round to go for the 4-1. So let's try it out. Didn't think it was possible. We managed to lose a die roll. But our hand is pretty bad. So we have to mulligan this. Got no mana sources. Got no mana sources. Like, it's only missing one thing, I guess. 2 of these cards have got to go. Is it the scale up or is it the Invigorate? I guess it's probably the scale ups that have to go here. Invigorate is just more flexible, can save our guy, costs us nothing. Okay, looks like we've got another epic gamble matchup here. That's my prediction from what I've seen over there. So we've seen our Force of Will. So I'm going to know to play around that. Let's go and get ourselves a tropical island. Jam ourselves a cute little Noble Hierarch. And pass the turn. So our opponent's drawing some cards. This could be some sort of red-blue painter combo, but it does feel like the epic gamble right now. And they're going to cast a defense grid. That'll be pretty bad for us. We kind of have to counterspell that and then hope that we draw more interaction later on. Our opponent definitely gets one more turn at the very least. We need to draw like Blighted Agent into another pump spell. Defense grid. We have to counterspell this to at least have the illusion that we've got more spells coming down the pipeline. It's bad. It's bad times for us here. 1 damage from Noble Hierarch. It's not how we drew this one up. We can hard cast and Invigorate for 4 damage later on. I can take... Okay, this is the Riddler. This is different to the Epic Gamble. This is a good card. So I want to sacrifice our Noble Hierarch for their Containment Construct. Yes, I do. I suspect they will not block here. They do not block. I think we're going to keep the Windswept Heath in hand because it's better for Brainstorms. Represents more things as well that our opponent might have to worry about. Gamble. Okay. We'll let them have the gamble, I think. Sure. So discarded the Lion's Eye Diamond. I think when they cast the Lion's Eye Diamond, we have to Spell Pierce this day. It's clearly the thing they tutored for, I would believe. This enables the Echo of Eons as well. So maybe we get to fight another turn. Cracking the bauble. Alright, so we get another turn. We're going to take 2 from the Construct though. But if they beat us down with the Construct, then they deserve it. A Daze. I guess we're still attacking. It's going to be hard to get the value out of this Daze, truth be told. But we're going to try our best. This is red for a gamble. We can't really do anything about the Daze won't work. It will just make them pay 1. Discarded a bauble. I doubt that's what they tutored for. I suspect it was probably the Lion's Eye Diamond again. There's the Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay. So what have they discarded here? Breakthrough, Riddlesmith, Grape Shot. Okay. They got 3 mana floating here. So play the Riddlesmith out. Yep. And then they'll cast a Breakthrough. Maybe they'll cast it for 1. They shouldn't. They should just cast it for X equals 0. It's all the same for them. Okay. There's the Breakthrough. We kind of just have to bottleneck them out of this turn. We need them to play something like a Rite of Flame or something. So Lotus Petal, Ether Spell Bomb. Mox Opal's an annoying one here. They've got Ox of Agonis as well, which they can do something with. So Lotus Petal. The Riddlesmith does draw them a card every turn. We're just trying to bottleneck them on mana here and let our Daze work. It feels like it's going to be tricky to achieve though. So yeah, if you're unfamiliar with this combo, the combination of Containment Construct and Riddlesmith means that whenever they cast an artifact, they draw a card and discard a card, but whenever they discard a card, it goes under the construct, they can play it till end of turn. So effectively every artifact cantrips. So what is this going to be? 2 mana. Just going to be the Ox of Agonis. Feels like that's being what's going to happen here. Not a big fan of this, but can't really do anything about it. If we force them to do this, they're still just going to draw a bunch of cards. I think for the sake of my insanity, I'm going to Daze this. Reason being they have to play the Lotus Petal then, which means they can't play any of the artifacts that are underneath it here. So they might brick on this Ox of Agonis, and they might not find them any starting mana again. And we can also F6 a turn and just let our opponent try and kill us. Now, they didn't have to pass a turn because they have a far superior board presence. So they found a Mox Opal, so they're going to keep going here. Alright, we took our shot to make them pass a turn, and we failed. Now we just have to see if they kill us. As soon as they find a Lion's Eye Diamond, I think that's probably lights out for us, because that's just going to give them such a massive influx of mana. Okay, Mox. Oh, they got Mycosynth Gardens, and that's a new piece of tech that I haven't seen from the Riddlesmith yet, but it makes sense. They've got loads of 0-drops, and it's very good with Lion's Eye Diamond, which is their sort of principal way of generating really silly amounts of mana. Ether Spell Bomb. So more about the sort of 0-drops cantripping than they are about just playing loads of Rite of Flames and stuff like that. Although I've definitely seen lists that have run Rite of Flames in them. But we'll see. Alright. Going along, they can draw a card with Ether Spell Bomb if they want. They could cast a Containment Construct, but the second one doesn't do anything that the first one isn't already doing. They found a 0-drop. They found a Gamble. Gamble can go and find them Grape Shot, which isn't enough. Oh no, that's exactly enough, right? If they cast a Gamble. Yeah, that's exactly enough to put a Grape Shot on the stack target. Let's see if they see that. They did not see that. They just wanted to break through. I guess we have 2 cards in hand. They might think that it's something, but we're quite clearly F6'd. Sure, you can keep going. There's a non-0% chance our opponent fizzles, which is annoying. But okay, so Mox Opal as Saga. They might be trying to dig. They might only have the 1 Grape Shot, so they might need to go through their whole deck and put it back in with a Echo of Eons. So there's a lot of operations our opponent has to take here. It's going to eat away our opponent's clock, which is going to give us more time to make thoughts and decisions in the next game or 2. So I don't mind that. What are we going to see here? Another Riddlesmith. So now every artifact draws them 2 cards. Sure, Lion's Eye Diamond, so mana's certainly not the issue. Maybe. I imagine they are an Echo of Eons deck though. If they've got Lion's Eye Diamond, it just seems like a free way of reloading, even though we haven't seen it yet. Also, the Vindictive Flamestoke could be pretty good in this matchup too. Sorry, in this deck, because they play so many things. Let's have a little look of our sideboard while we're letting them carry on, and we can talk about what we're thinking about doing as our opponent goes through the motions. Force of Vigor is going to be something we're going to want here. Surgical Extraction is going to be very good, because that can rip things out with the trigger from the Containment Construct on the stack. Flusterstorm, obviously very good. Seeds of Innocence too. I think we might even want Plows as well. So let's see how our opponent keeps going here. Yeah, playing some baubles. Oval Chase Daredevil. That's an interesting one. If you're unfamiliar with this one, whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may return it from your graveyard to your hand. So this is really good with Riddlesmith if you don't have the Containment Construct. It kind of does the same thing. What have they got here? Conspiracy Theorist attacks. You may pay 1 and discard a card if you draw a card. Whenever you discard 1 or more non-land cards. Okay, so this is the same as Containment Construct, but as a red guy. So they've gone for more redundancy then. So they've got an additional card to go with the Riddlesmith and an additional Containment Construct. I see. There's a defense grid. We're just kind of waiting to see our opponent's win condition here. We've already seen the 1 Grape Shot. Do they have a second? I have to imagine they do. If not, they've got a way of looping it, which might be interesting for us to see. Okay. Drawing some more cards. They also have to be careful. It's only a May draw on the Riddlesmith, unfortunately, so they can't kill themselves on it. They can draw their entire deck and then stop. But if they pass the turn for some reason, they've probably got some bauble triggers on the stack that might kill them. if they have miscalculated on that and they don't kill us this turn. Quite how they don't kill us this turn, I'm not sure. If it is just that one grape shot though. They must have a way of rebuying it or shuffling it in or something. They might just have, there's the one Echo Beyond, sure. So now we actually get to play the game again. So we turn off auto yields. We can't play anything through the, no actually we'll leave the yield on because we can't play anything through the defense grid anyway. So they go through the whole deck, recycle it and play the grape shot again. So if that is their only win condition, that is interesting to know. They'll probably board in empty the Warrens. That's usually a standard thing to board in against counter magic decks when you're playing some sort of storm. Although this deck is quite different to other storm sort of decks because it puts creatures on the board and then combos with the creatures. So we'll see how we fare here. So might as well let our opponent go through the motions. And I'm just going to stop talking. I'm just going to cut to when they put their kill on the stack. Sure, our opponent has targeted us with a grape shot. We will concede the game here. So sideboard, we already discussed some of the things we wanted. Flusterstorms, Surgicals, Artifact Hate, Swords to Plowshares. These things are pretty good. Skrelv Defector MTG once again. Goodbye. Not doing it for us, that little Skrelvy boy. We want all our counter magic for sure. We need to find 8 more cards to fit this in, which is a lot of cards. So maybe we're having to get a bit creative and cut some of this stuff. Feels a little bit awkward, but we can kind of nickel and dime them a bit. Maybe we'd rather have one ponder over. So we've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Wouldn't mind a 20th, but we'd have to lose one of our spells. We could lose an Invigorate. 2 Invigorates doesn't kill your opponent usually, but maybe a ponder over an Invigorate. But we kind of need the green cards too. Okay, we're going to roll like this. Move our sideboard and we'll be on the play. We get to blow some stuff up, but what are we doing? We need to... Do I think Force of Will plus Force of Vigor and Surgical Extraction is enough to just let us beat down with Inkmoth Nexus? I think it might be, actually. Well, I don't know. I'm going to try it for science, right? We can cast all of this off of 0 mana, and we're just going to slowly nug in for 1 with our Inkmoth Nexus until we find something else. Weird game this is going to be. It's either going to go really well or really badly for us, and that's fine. An Urza's Saga. Okay. Play out any artifacts? A Bauble? Sure. A Chrome Mox. Are you going to pitch anything to this? I think we're looking at just Seeds of Innocence. Sorry, just Force of Vigoring away their Saga and their Chrome Mox here. Cheeky bit of card disadvantage there. I'm almost tempted to surgically extract their Saga as well. So there's a breakthrough. They're cracking the Bauble. There's a Lion's Eye Diamond. Sure. Interesting. I think we will hit the Saga and the Chrome Mox. Get rid of the permanent sources. Force them into Lion's Eye Diamond as their options. Because then we can just counter the one thing that comes out of it. That's my idea anyway. Okay, which one of these is the Summoning Sick one? Let's hope we pick the right one. Hate the Magic the Gathering online interface for this. We chose the wrong one. Great. Good job, Magic the Gathering. That's really irritating. There's only one poison. Might not matter, but it's still incredibly frustrating. One interface. Ancient Tomb. Okay. So we stopped our opponent playing an Urza's Saga game. Say no to this. Okay. So we have a Surgical Extraction if we want to use it. Alright. Let's not get caught by the same thing again. So we can surgically extract one of the cards in our opponent's graveyard. Do we want to just surgically extract the Lion's Eye Diamond after they've drawn? I think so. Or are we supposed to try and get the... No, I think we just hit the ley line here. Okay, concession. Alright, maybe they had a ley line in hand. So our weird hand paid off. Good to know. Do we want to do anything differently? I don't think so. Like maybe we can trim and invigorate here for a ponder. How many green cards we got here? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Has it got kind of even split on the colours there? I think that's probably fine. I guess we could weirdly morph into some sort of Uro deck. Just like counterspell, just try and grind them with Uro. But I think just our thing that just can end the game really quickly is a nice place. Yeah, this hand seems okay. A little bit slow, but we've got a Daze and we've got a Force of Vigor. There's the Urza's Saga, sure. There's a Bauble. What are they going to see with it? They've seen the Daze. That makes the Daze a lot worse. Or better, potentially. Well, that's a very good draw, isn't it? Let's go and get ourselves a tropical island. Let's make ourselves a little Glistener Elf. Just need to find one more pump spell, and we can try and kill them next turn. They're probably going to play around Daze, which means they might play out some more mana and let us get in there. There's a Mycosynth Gardens. That doesn't make an Urza's Saga token. Now I need to find a Chrome Mox if they want that. A Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay. Stuff can get wild here. If they play any other spell, we're going to immediately blow up their Lion's Eye Diamond. If they target it with Mycosynth Gardens, we're going to blow it up immediately. A Containment Construct. This is an interesting one. I think we will blow both of these up, pitching this. And then we will Daze this Containment Construct. Sure. So we'd like to draw a pump spell this turn, and then we can just put it to bed. It's a pump spell. Our hand was pretty good, and we drew incredibly well. I'll take it. Alright, so we got the 4-1 there, and we did beat the lands player, which felt really horrible, and we got super duper lucky. So I don't mind that. Let's talk about this deck then. So the Painter deck, I think, should have beaten us. I think they could have cast a Fury, so we got a bit lucky that they didn't do it then. I think the lands matchup looked really bad, but we got a little bit lucky then. And I'm trying to remember what we actually did lose to now. Feels like it was a while ago, but I felt like we did get quite fortunate. Now I do need to get fortunate in Magic the Gathering sometimes, and that's fine. But I think we could alleviate some of the problems we were facing by having a single forest in the deck. The forest lets you cast Noble Hierarch, which accesses the rest of your mana. It also means if you've got your guys down, you can then still do all your pump stuff. So I think having a single forest in this deck is something I would very much like. I don't think you necessarily need Tundra and Savannah. Maybe one of these should be a forest, probably the Savannah, because you can't have two lands that don't make, that aren't islands when you're playing Daze, I don't think. So I think you could have the forest instead of the Savannah there. It means you're relying on the Tundra and Noble Hierarchs to cast your white spells. But this league, Skrelv was useless. We just never really wanted Skrelv as a thing. So, I mean, that was an issue. And Ajani, we did board it in a grindy matchup, but it was a grindy wasteland matchup, so we never got to cast it. So, the only thing that I really think, like, the white for Source of Plowshares is pretty good. So, we could definitely board in Source of Plowshares and be happy with the fact that we have two white sources plus the 4 hierarchs, but if you're fetching a white source, you're fetching it to immediately plow something most of the time, so maybe you can get away with that. The other option is Dismember is very good against things like Magus of the Moon, which is a real problem for our deck here. So I think there's definitely two ways you can attack that particular weakness of this deck, whether it's the forest or changing up your removal, that's stuff you can actually cast to target Magus. I think either of those is probably a good place to be as a slight tweak to this deck. The general core of this deck feels fine. Like, if you run well, the deck is really strong because you can just like bot people on turn 2. You've got a lot of interaction in the forms of Force of Will, Daze, and out the board you've got removal, you've got more counter spells, you've got Force of Vigor. Like we had that game against the Storm deck where the Riddlesmith deck, we just had no coloured mana sources. We could just had all this free interaction that was just really good, so we just smashed them that way. I'm still not 100% sold on this Ajani or this Uro though. I think we could have some spots that might just be better there perhaps. And I'm not really sold on Skrelv yet either. I honestly think Skrelv's Hive would be more interesting to me than Skrelv a lot of the time, because it's just going to guarantee that you've got guys streaming in. So if you're sort of taking a more control-y route, you can just sort of rely on those guys a bit maybe. Maybe that's silly, I don't know. I haven't played that enough to really know, to be perfectly honest. But Skrelv, we didn't really play the matchups where Skrelv was where we wanted to be. So we're not playing against like the Bant Control or the Shark Still type decks. That wasn't really a thing we were playing against today. Like no Shark Tail either. We didn't play against any of the big kill all your guys, hope for the best things. So the Skrelv didn't really do anything there. Now, we did play against Elves. I think that was the game we lost, wasn't it? Was against the Elves. Now, Skrelv can help you push through with a Glistener Elf. But if you have a Blighted Agent or an Inkmoth Nexus, then the Skrelv isn't doing anything in that matchup. So I don't think Skrelv's actually very good in that matchup, especially when they're not trying to blow your stuff up. So I'm just not convinced Skrelv is doing that much for kind of ruining our mana base and making it so we like scoot to Mages of the Moon. That feels like quite a big cost to play this card. That obviously the matchups we faced today meant that Skrelv wasn't good, but there's definitely going to be some matchups where it is good. So also maybe some of these sort of Delvery decks where you can play the Skrelv out and it's going to take the first removal spell. If not, then it's going to keep other stuff alive. So maybe that's better, just to sort of overload your opponent's removal in that way. So I can certainly see why the Skrelv is in there. And I do own a foil Skrelv for the mono white painter deck that I play in paper. But again, I've never had a game with any deck with Skrelv in where Skrelv has felt really good. Which is weird because I know on paper it looks pretty good. And I know people who've played it who say it's really good. I've just never really had that experience myself. So I need to have some games where Skrelv just absolutely bails me out at some point. I'd also like the Ajani to be good at some point, but such is life. But we got a 4-1, so we can't really argue with scoreboard. And I think I've made the only comments about this deck that I'm fit to make, really, in terms of the forest, perhaps, or dismembers, and maybe some sort of clarification on these bits here and the Skrelvs, maybe. But other than that, I don't think I'm really in a position to make any comments about this because, again, I haven't played a lot of Infect at all. I think I've probably played 4 leagues total, maybe only 3 with Infect. So, yeah, take what I say with a grain of salt, but you did see how brutal Mages of the Moon was, so that needs addressing. All right, I think we're done there, so thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, become a member of the channel, all these things. All right, thank you, and goodbye.